powerful, passionate, well done. Both of you, very nicely played together. It's always so important, I think, that a musician takes the music for themselves and projects something that is personal, because we know that we don't just want to hear Brahms F major, we want to hear his interpretation of Brahms F major. And that's why we go to concerts, because otherwise we would just listen to the same recording over and over again. So it's great to hear that your interpretation and your sense of what you like the music to be. Now, obviously, it's my job to look at you, Ali, and say, okay, how can I improve things for you, or how can I help you arrive somewhere that you're aiming for? And there are so many things that I think you're doing really excellently, and I think it's you have great facility for the instruments, and that's wonderful. Okay, so there are two kind of perspectives that I can look at. One is the kind of sense of how the music should be, how the music can work as an architectural device, and also how best what you portray in the music and how you personally are seen and how you get your message across. Now, for a musician, getting the message across is about the most difficult thing. The notes are on the page, the directions the composer puts in great detail. But the question is then, how are you going to get your message across? What I feel at the moment is that you have all the passion, all the power and everything, but this is a 30-minute piece of music. You're going to spend a lot of time in the gym working out if you're going to carry on like that. And then the whole recital is an hour and a half. So there's an enormous amount of energy. And of course, when you're just playing one movement, you tend to go for it, don't you? But at the same time, what I feel is that there is a ceiling which you are hitting very, very often. It's a very powerful movement, I understand that. But, it starts brilliantly and powerfully. But then we have to go on some sort of journey in the music. All music is a journey. It's a journey of discovery, which we, the musicians, have already made. We've all already discovered what it's about. And now we're going to say, come with me, because I'm going to take you on this journey. And this is how it starts. And then it's going to be spun out so that when you finish playing the piece of music, the audience really does feel, wow, that was an incredible experience. Now we have a view of this music, which, is enhancing our lives, just as it enhanced our lives as musicians. And I feel somehow at the moment that you're telling the story, almost a whole thing goes out, and then we kind of feel that there's nothing else to be heard. Okay. So, I feel that, yes, you announce it, and then you need to start to explore more carefully. And this is degrees of how strong you are, what kind of energy you use. Something that keeps saying, hey, listen, don't get too comfortable where you are, because there's more to come. There are surprises, there are marvelous things happening in the music, but just keep listening. And if we really go for it all the time, the audience gets so used to it that they're kind of sitting back and thinking, yeah, this is all fantastic and brilliant. Okay? So what's happening, And I think you need to feed them more carefully. And I'm talking about really quite fine degrees now of what you do. Now, fundamentally, we are dealing with sound. Music is sound. When there's no sound, there's no music. There's just silence. So sound has some magical property. Music has an incredible property, which is when you play the first bar. When you play, I haven't played a note in my hands, falling out already. But when you play the first, this is already, wow, suddenly a surprise, yes. And she surprises us first. So from silence, you break the silence with something very powerful, okay? But then what happens? So we have this, then we have, which is clearly not as surprising. And then very quickly I have, which is a little bit of a message of something lyrical and beautiful. It's not in your face. So Brahms is telling us very quickly, this is not all just cymbals and timpani. It's something which is going to show quite a wide range of emotion very quickly. And he's explaining the message of this music is actually not just the first impact. It's also going to be subtle. It's also going to be very interesting. Can you play, as an experiment, just play the very beginning and exaggerate a little bit the different qualities that you're going to find. Okay. Yeah? It's actually getting a bit cold now. Can you try once more to create the line? Because at the moment we have like as 2 lines instead of 1 line. And like I said before, you are trying to hold the audience's attention. And if you play, you lost it again. And I want you to hold everybody, even through the silences, because, you know, the silences for you are something very interesting in the piano going on. And this feeling is energy. So even if you don't play loud, play with intensity, clarity. You may need to use the area in this area which we control the sound more carefully. So this can be bright, can be a little bit darker. This can be more like this. You see, sounds can be all sorts of things, can't they? Terrifying sounds and beautiful sounds. Much better. So as you're coming down, I want to feel also, you know, you're using so much passion, and I'd like to feel that you're grading that passion a little bit and changing the color of the sound a bit more, because obviously we can't stay up there, we have to come down. Music is so often about an impact and a recovery, and we as you know, in the audience, we need to feel that we can recover also, because we've got to get ready for the next thing. Okay. Also, I'd like to think a little bit more about the vibrato you use, because you're using, again, maximum this. Even when you're playing less, you're still using maximum this, and you're giving a message that you're still playing really, really powerfully. Try to grade your vibrato as well. And also, sorry, this is, you know, chamber music, this is chamber music. It's a conversation between the pianist and the cellist. And actually, you know, this sonata is written for piano and cello. It's, you know, we think them as cello sonatas, but they're written in that way for piano and cello. Really respond, you know, when she, I mean, I feel it, but I want to feel it more. That you respond to her harmony changes, her rhythm, and all of these things. So that there is a feeling that we are watching the communication between you, the relationship between you. Play da-dee-da-da, and then you play again really strong. But, you know, if you compare that moment to your very first, the very first one, it's almost the same. Okay. Now, for us, the danger is if you play something the same, you know, we have a sense you've gone back to the beginning. But we are not at the beginning now. So there has to be a development. A subtle development in the kind of sound you make is what we're doing. But if you play with the same energy, the same notes from this one, that sounds like you've just started again. Yeah? Can you go from here? Is that okay?
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Be careful. Okay, good. That's much better. Now, not only is this very important in terms of how the structure of the music is concerned, But listen to the harmony, you know. The cellist, you're going for it, wow, it's fantastic, but please play the piano alone. Can you play it alone from there? And just listen to the... Yes, but can you be really careful with the right hand so that we hear the interesting part of the harmony as you change? Yeah, so, you know, there's so many chromatics going on. You're playing big intervals, but the piano is playing ya-da-dee-da-da, you know, really interesting chromatic lines. And now this is a lesson in how fast to play in music. You know, we have indications, general indications of how fast to play, but if you don't hear all these incredible things that are going on, it's too fast. And maybe the acoustic is too blurry or, you know, whatever it happens to be, but if you don't hear the interesting parts, you think how much of a genius Brahms was to write a whole series of clever harmonic changes, chromaticisms, while you're playing whatever it is. But that is what's so interesting for us to hear. So the tempo, the speed of the music, the clarity of what's going on is really about the feeling, the kind of, it's almost essential quality to what's going on. And Brahms is such a sensuous composer, but that's why musicians love playing Brahms so much, because you feel it in your hands and in your body all the time as it twists and turns, sometimes more than many other composers. And Brahms is extraordinary because you can emphasize any note in Brahms at any moment and it makes sense, which is unlike any other composer. If you want to make a stress in the phrase slightly for the second note, it works. Third note, it works. Fourth note, it doesn't matter. It always works in Brahms. Can you play once more from the same place and really listen, and please bring out as much of the chromaticism as you can. Now you're doing nice things there, and I think it's very important just to explain that, you know, you're repeating something here. And when you repeat something in music, what it means is the composer is in this case, is saying yes, yes, yes. Sometimes it's no, 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 but it's but you know, that's the purpose of repetition. Why a composer can write whatever they want, but when they repeat something, it's to make their point. And in this case, there's harmonic changes going on, and it's really to say something here. And I'd like you to not just do it, but say it in a way like you are saying, yes, please. Each one has to be said very carefully, because you're making your point, yeah. And again, you are responding to what's going on in the piano. Listen, give her some space. Pianist has to show really what's going on there as well. Otherwise, yes, yes, why are we saying yes, yes, yes? You can go directly from there, is that okay? Yeah, one more time. But really listen to the piano, because she has him, all the interesting things between your lines. Give her some space in the sound. Yeah, this is really not a solo. You know, you're almost just absolutely a part of it. It's her third hand. Don't forget, Brahms was a pianist. You know, he's writing for himself with a cello. So he's thinking of his, you know, all those incredible songs that he wrote and all these things, and he's thinking orchestrally as well. And he's thinking, you know, how do I make a piano part with an extra line with a lyrical instrument, you know? But it's not separate. It's a creation together. Music is all integrated. Can you go from the same place? Always give her space. In between, you're playing, if you play, we don't, you know, sound is a complicated thing. You create sound, and if you keep creating sound, you won't notice anything else that's going on because it's like a blanket. You create a blanket of sound. Meantime, she's trying to get little lines through. And in chamber music, you have to get away. You make your point. Even that's maybe exaggerated in a way, but try to think that you have to say to the audience, here's my note, now here's now me, now her. In your ear, in our ear, we should hear that conversation. Can you go to the same place? Okay, one more time. Sorry. Alexa, please do more. I know you're sort of facing the wrong way and the piano lid's not up and things, but please try to imagine you're facing that way and you're going to... More sound. Okay. And all the running lines, we need to hear them more carefully. Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah, okay. So now, can you hear? Can you feel? Now you can start to listen to what's going on with the two of you. We've come to a kind of point where we've... It's wound down now, but now again, the wave is coming. Yeah. So now you're coming up. You're going up. And when the music goes up, you know, the excitement goes up, everything goes up. So can you give yourself some space? Now, I want to just refer back to what I said to start with. Remember, there's a ceiling to how far you can go. There's a ceiling in dynamic, because the cello is a cello, it doesn't, you know, it's not a trumpet, and it's not, you know, it's not a brass band. So it's just not going to be that loud. Now, so the reason I'm talking about a ceiling is because, you know, we're building architecturally a piece of music. You can't have, you know, the spire on the church you just have one, really, you know. So there has got to be a place, which there always is, where there is one point, which is the high point. Now, for a cellist or for any musician, it's complicated to allow for that throughout the whole movement. And sometimes we have to play tricks on the ear. We have to give the impression that we're building even when we're not. And we do that with intensity, with clarity, articulation. Without actually doing very much dynamically, because if you do something very dynamic, you will reach that ceiling very quickly. So we're playing kind of tricks on the ear to give the sense of movement, a sense of drama, but not actually really doing it. And there's another reason, not only architecturally in the music, there's another reason. And that is that for the audience, they don't want to see the limits. I mean, I'm speaking as a cellist here, and also as an experienced member of the audience. I don't like to hear the limitation of the artist. For me, if I see the limitation of the musician very quickly, then I'm not going to be excited anymore. I just want to feel that there's no limit to what they can do. It's like going to see a magic show or something. You do not want to see that this is it now. You want something else exciting to happen unexpectedly. And so for the artist on the platform, it's very important to not to give away your limits and not to give the impression that you've reached your limits. Yeah? Because there can be some moments where something happens a little bit more than, you know, you've allowed yourself a little bit more. And that moment can be really, really exciting or really emotional. It can be the softest moment. You know, you're playing down and sound down, and suddenly you play just a little bit softer than you've done before, and everybody just kind of, there's that moment of absolute, you know, elation from how beautifully soft it is. So you need to leave those moments actually very often, just a little bit more, maybe a little bit more, but don't say, if you show, look, this is as much as I can do, then you've given the game away. So it's a very tricky thing on a 30-minute piece. not to show your limitations. But it is artistry. It's what you're training to be able to do, is to be able to have just a little bit more up your sleeve to surprise people, you know. Remind me of Tommy Cooper. You probably remember Tommy Cooper, who was always doing terrible magic, things that all went completely wrong and everybody laughed. But then just every now and again, it worked. And it was extraordinary, you know. That little bit extra something. Don't give it away all the time, okay? Where can we go from once more? Let's go. And just, you know, show them something's happening. Don't show them yourself. This is a discussion I'm going to talk about a bit later on. What you're showing the audience is the music. They will decide for themselves what they think of you. You are an individual. You are not like anybody else. So you don't have to say anything about yourself, actually. It's going to come through your music. The danger is to show yourself, because actually Brahms probably, well, I speak for myself, he's such a genius compared to me, that if I'm showing myself, it's very limited compared to him. So I want to show Brahms. Forget about yourself, yeah? I want to just talk about how you're going to continue. You're breathing very nicely, you're phrasing and all this thing, but my feeling is that you stop and start and stop and start. I mean, you have to breathe, so that's very important. The music is going like this, but I don't feel, again, that you're feeding us in the way. So, it's a storm. And yes, you have to breathe for energy and everything's going on, but don't, you come down, but don't come down like, okay, I finished that bit. Now we're going to do another bit. Here we go. You need to hold the energy. It's all about energy that's in sound. Can you try that?
Yeah.
Don't blow it. What I mean, don't do it all. Energy can be really contained. Yeah, sorry, I'm just good. If you play, this is nice and relaxed, yes. Now I'm holding something, yeah.
Okay.
A little bit frightening. Vibrato showing nothing, and because this is, yes, it's warm and whatever, yeah. But this is not warm and whatever. This is very intense. There's nervousness in the sound. If you create a sound which is just easy, it's like if I talk to you and I'm saying this is really nice, or I can say this is really nice, or not so nice. You know, it's the energy, it's the way I'm using my voice which tells you what the story is. The words, the notes, they're all the same anyway. I mean, we've only got a few notes to play with. And honestly, the notes don't matter. What matters is what are you saying with the notes? Yeah? Think about vibrato now. Less. Okay, thank you. Can I just, because as I said, you know, we have so little time. What I see with you, let's just talk technical stuff a little bit for a minute. Technical things, the way you're moving now. I'm exaggerating, you know, but what I'm saying is, you know, the message has to come from your body. The pit of your stomach is where you're sending this message out from, yes? And you need it just to go like this, through the cello and out. And at the moment, the problem is that it's not focused. You have, your energy is a little bit, and you're like this. And so what happens is that you are the music, you are the emotion, you are the passion, but it's kind of sticking around here. But actually, the only thing it has to do is to get over there. So if you can contain your own movement and so that it's like coming through you like an ocean is coming through, like Pavarotti's singing, his voice just pours out of his mouth. This is not, you know, he's not going like this for everybody, you know, like this, because, you know, it's really direct. And the more you contain your energy, you're using energy to do something which is not focusing your sound.
Okay.
So try to be contained and try to push that way. Okay. Yeah. Now listen. So leave yourself some space, yeah? Leave yourself some space and then say, if you were to playing this as a slow movement, it would be a most beautiful thing. Well, it's not any less beautiful in this movement. It may be faster, but it's still tragic, isn't it? You know, we had this F major, now we have this is emotional, tender. It may be this is part of the storm in a way, but it's really very far from the beginning. And that's always good to stop when you're learning music, is stop and say, hey, where did I start and where did I go through and why am I here now? You know, we have a tendency just to work and play, you know, keep playing and keep organizing ourselves and trying to play the cello better. But, you know, you are trying to map out the journey. And in order to do that, given that we have limitations, you know, you have to figure out where you are in that. And that's good to refer back to something before. Always refer to your journey in order to make the scale correct. I think we have to move on. I know that's awful, but thank you very much indeed.